Hey everybody, I hope you guys are doing good today. I'm in the book of Esther. Sorry, not every chapter is going to be in the beautiful mountains. That's just how it is. It's gloomy and nasty today, and I gotta work, so that's just how it is. I also wanted to say, before I start this book, and this is the last thing I have to say about it, like for real, the last thing I have to say about it at all. And it is, I don't take sides, okay? Especially not human sides. I take Jesus Yeshua's side every time, no matter what, because that's what it's about. It's about him building a relationship with him and loving other people, and that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to do. Period. That's all I have to say about that, and that's all I'm gonna say about it, ever, anymore, because I'm done. But I'm in the book of Esther. I'm almost through the whole Bible. I've got several more books left, but I'd say I'm maybe like 3/4 through the Bible, maybe half or 3/4 through, somewhere in there. And I've read all of the New Testament, and I'm in the Old Testament now, and I'm in Esther. So I thought, well, I really like the story of Esther. I've heard the story of Esther from my pastor Matt Taylor. Um, He's on it's FBC Lebanon, I believe is what is it's on YouTube. If you ever want to, his name is Matt Taylor. If you ever want to listen to any of his sermons, he's pretty good. That's who I was baptized by. But anyway, some of my church friends told me, and I think it's really good advice now that I'm reading the Bible all the way through it. And they told me, read the New Testament first. If this is your first time ever reading the Bible, read the New Testament first instead of starting at the Old Testament. I mean, I know the Old Testament's first, the New Testament's second, but he just said to me, the Old Testament is really really rough. Like, it's rough, and I don't think he wanted me being so fresh as I was before when I first got baptized and stuff. This was several years ago. He was like, I just don't want you to get scared off by the Old Testament because it's rough. There's a lot of rough things. I mean, there's killing and war and rape and just all this stuff. So it was just, so, and I think that's good advice. If you're a new reader of the Bible and it's your first time reading it all the way through and you want to read it all the way through, start at the New Testament, then go to the Old Testament. And I went through the New Testament like a storybook. Revelation is rough. Revelation was rough. Okay, I'm not gonna lie about that. Revelation's rough. And so, but the whole Old Testament, I'm glad he told me that, because the whole Old Testament is rough. I've been having a hard time with it. I've been having a hard time understanding it. It's rough. I had another pastor say it's a bloodbath, and it's true. It is. The Old Testament is rough stuff to read sometimes. Book of Esther, I like the book of Esther, so let's go in. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, that is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. So it's telling you who Ahasuerus, I can't ever say this king's name right, ever. Ahasuerus. It's saying who what he reigned over and where, India, and all the way to Ethiopia. And it's also telling you how many provinces he has. That in the days when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace. And it's telling you where his palace was and where he reigned and stuff. In the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast. So in his 3rd year, he's like celebrating and like throwing a party unto all his princes and his servants. The power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces, being before him. So all the provinces come out for this party too. When he shewed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days. So this was a big party. And when these days were expired, and the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan, the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace, where were green white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble. Wow, that sounds really pretty. Like he's got lots of riches and marble and stuff and these hangings fastened and stuff. Like it's all decorated. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold. Wow, gold things, gold goblets to drink out of. Wow, that's really nice. And royal wine in abundance according to the state of the king. So he got his good wine out. And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel, for so the king had appointed to all the officers in his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure. So basically, go ahead, get drunk. Just go ahead and go please yourself. Do whatever you want, you know. Also, Vashti the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house which belonged to King Ahasuerus. On the seventh day, when so the queen Vashti is also feasting with the women in the royal house. On the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Bizthal, Harbona, Bigtha, and Ebegtha, Barlins that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to shew the people and the princess her beauty, for she was fair to look at. So the king's like, go get Vashti the queen because she's beautiful, and I want everybody to look on her beauty. But the queen Vashti refused to come to the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. She said, no, I'm not coming out. So he got mad. He got pissed. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment. Everybody knew the law. Like, you don't do that. You don't say no to the king. And the next unto him was Karshena, Sethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Maris, Marsena, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia, and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom. They all these guys saw this going down. They're like, ooh, what shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law? Because she has not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. By the chamberlains. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to the princes and to the people that are in all the province of the king Ahasuerus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes when it shall be reported. The king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. So they're all like, oh my God, she didn't come. Like, if we don't do something about this, then, she's convincing, she's gonna, that is an example to all the other women that they can do whatever they want to do. And, we don't want them to do that because, they're the kings, so they can do whatever they want and they control the women. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the kings and princes which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and of the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto that is a better than she. And when the king decree which he shall make shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, and the wives shall be to their husbands' honor both to great and small. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. So Memucan was like, hey, why don't we just let the king give her royal estate to somebody that's better than her, and we'll just get another woman in here, and that's that. And the king was like, okay, that sounds good. For he sent letters into all the king's providences, so they sent all these letters out about it and stuff, into every providence according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people. And also, not only are they sending the message of the king, they're sending a message to the women. You know, you don't not come out when he tells you to, basically. So they're gonna fix that by finding another woman, and they sent the letter out to let everybody know that in their town. So I hope I did I hope I did the first chapter some justice. I don't know. I'm just reading. This is the first time, like I said, I've been through the actual book of Esther. I've heard 2 pastors go over the book of Esther, and I've also watched an old like 80s movie or something about the book of Esther, which was kind of interesting. It is kind of old and kind of cheesy, but it does do the story some good justice as far as trying to wrap your mind around it and understand it, because the Bible can be kind of hard to understand sometimes, and it was for me for a long time until I really started reading it and kind of slowing down and taking my time and really trying to understand it. I think that's what God wants. He wants us to build a relationship with him, love people around us, and read the word and try to understand it the best we can. And God will give you that knowledge. I've also noticed that, like, the closer I come to God and the more I want to do right in his eyes, the more the Bible makes sense. It's crazy to me, because when I first started reading the Bible, it was very vague. I was really only understanding every other paragraph. And now I'm understanding every verse pretty well, as far as story-wise. And I do get lost here and there with the names and stuff, and I wouldn't be able to go through all the names and tell you who everybody was again, and who's from Persia and who's from India and blah, 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 blah. I wouldn't be able to go through all that, and I'm sure I could memorize it and do all that stuff too, but I really just want to enjoy the word with people. I want to help those that are lost. The ones that are lost are the ones that don't have Jesus Yeshua. They're the ones that are rejecting him. And I remember trying to help somebody come to Jesus Yeshua one time. He doesn't believe in Jesus Yeshua. He's just a guy that died on a cross, just like anybody else that died on a cross. And, I begged with him I'm still begging with that guy. And, there's another guy that, he was pretty well full-blown atheist. And he told me, fuck you and fuck your God and blah, 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 blah. And I looked right into his eyes with tears. And I said, well, God loves you and so do I. And, there's a time when you've done all you can for certain people that are like that. And, when you just have to move on from those kind of people and move on to the next person because they've made their choice. But there's always a seed to be planted, and make sure you plant it with kindness, because people always run away from negativity. They always run away from harshness of the word and harshness of sin. Sin is harsh, and I'm sure it's harsh to God, and I'm sure when God sees it, it's harsh, and I'm sure it really hurts him. I'm not saying it's not, but it's hard for people to come to to Jesus Yeshua when they feel like they're not worthy. So you gotta plant that seed lightly. You gotta plant it. You don't want to plant it too deep in the soil because it'll quench it. But you want to plant it kind of mediocre. You don't want to lie to him. You don't want to sugarcoat it, but you want to be plant a light seed. Plant those light seeds. And that's what I'm here to do. I really want to do that more than just with these, like maybe 10 to 12 people that I've been trying to reach here lately, or maybe even just a handful here lately, because I've kind of let a lot of them go because you just can't do any more than what you can do, so, but I love everybody out there. I'm going through Esther. I hope you enjoyed the first chapter. My memory card's getting full, so I'm only able to go chapter by chapter, and I only have 15 minutes anyway, so love everybody. Love and peace.